normally make prints, but for this exhibition, I made a kite. The reason I do this because I would like to have a quality of a dynamic object come from the static material, such as bamboo and paper, and put them together to make a kite. And once they fly in the air, they become sort of animated object and it has its own soul, and that's what I'm interested in doing this for this exhibition. These prints come from the intaglio printmaking. Mostly done with a copper engraving, very old traditional method. So I print them together and then create this perfect symmetry images and applied on top of the kites. Monotype is a printmaking technique. You can only make one print. And I apply the ink with a roller on the plexiglass and then apply it and make a drawing, painting, and then print it from there.
I really like wind as a subject matter. It has something invisible about it, and that elusive quality. You feel it, you hear it, you can see it hit something, but in essence, it's a substance that's not really there. And so after I chose wind, I moved on to the Lakdawalla tree. That's an endemic tree that you only find on Oahu in high elevation and or Kauai. They're like aspens. The leaves dance in the wind, and that's such a gorgeous thing to see.
There's two main concepts I deal with in this work, and one is the interconnectedness between everything in nature. And one of the ways I talk about that in the work is by taking species and other elements found in nature, and I'll blend them together into combinations you normally don't see. The other is metamorphosis, and I've been fascinated with metamorphosis since I was a kid. The idea of something growing to a certain state and then transitioning into something else. So my drawings kind of evolve that same way. I start out with spontaneous marks, and from there I can look and see details. I might need to render something a certain way, and that's how my compositions grow.
So this series is an exploration of contact. It's really about our collaboration through isolation. Deb and I have been working together since about 2015 at Paul Maloney's studio in San Francisco, and when the pandemic hit, we kind of had to shift our own processes, and we missed the communal aspects of printmaking. So we found a way to come together over Zoom, her in Honolulu and me over in Wisconsin.
We used water and the invitation to create this work as a vehicle to stay in contact with each other. And so Erin dropped the watercolor on snow in Wisconsin. I collected salt water off the waters of Oahu where I live. And then we used our super duper iPhone close-ups, and we, over Zoom, we traded pictures and we composed and we just created. And it was just really important to stay in touch personally, and we stayed in touch professionally.
And we used the photogravure process. So it's an etched copper plate with the photographs that we took. We used that to play around with that idea of contact again. So really it's the paper coming in contact with ink, ink coming in contact with paper, plate coming in contact with the press, everything moving kind of through, and us coming back into contact with each other.
So this work started with me thinking about how paper is affected by wind and water. I did these prints here, sort of seemingly floating in space and seemingly affected by wind and water. With the resin forms, they almost literally were immersed in resin, which is a lot like water quality. And shaped and folded and sort of almost suspended in time. So this work, I think, references back to growing up in India and some of the memories and sort of these embedded visuals of textiles and saris, and the women wearing them just sort of floating and billowing. There's also laundries washed by hand. And so there's also this memory of like fabrics sort of like drying and laying in crumpled wet piles.
So for this space, it's an investigation into the overlap of the human experience and water and wind, and it's all these playful experimentations. And instead of having the work be completed at the opening, we've taken that model and started this as the beginning of our process. So for the next 3 weeks, it'll be an ongoing work in progress where people can drop in, say hi, make some artwork, contribute that. There's gonna be classes going on, and then at the end of that session is sort of when the opening is for this particular space with Confluence. You kind of let your body sink in, and then we'll do a big breath in again, we'll let it rise up. And you put your hands up, and then like a wave, you let it come back down. And you can kind of go to this side, and bring it to the other side. And everybody look right up at the sun, and you can kind of go like this with your hands. And then I want everybody to breathe in all the energy of the sun. Ready? Breathe it in. And then hold it right there. Imagine this big glow that you've got right there. And then it's your creativity coming from the sun, and breathe out your creativity.